Hello, Trudy here. Today I'm going to show you how to use Tombow markers to sponge in a background, and I'm going to show you with the stamp set that just released this last month called Home Tweet Home. It's one of my illustrations. The first thing you want to do is to stamp the doves out of a separate piece of like scrap paper and cut around it. This one I've already used once, but that's the nice thing about this. You can use them multiple times. And what you do is stamp the image onto the cardstock that you're wanting to work on, and then you'll place the masking doves over the top of it so that they'll stay white. I'm going to use N25, it's like a charcoal color, and then 528 blue. And you will just take your acrylic block and scribble some color onto it. Just go ahead and do both of them here. I'm using a natural sponge. You can use what you have, but I like the texture of the natural sponge. So it's slightly dampened. It's not wet, just slightly dampened, and you'll pick up a little bit of color and work it into the sponge. And hold down the masking doves so that they stay in place, and then just kind of dab around it. I'm using a sparkly pen. It is great for doing things like this because it doesn't, the water doesn't mess it up like it can some cheaper cardstocks. I'm not sure how big of a cutout I'm going to have when I cut this out, so I'm going to go pretty large. And I'm going to pick up some more color and get around the doves a little better so that the white of the doves will have a little bit more contrast with the background. Make sure they're lined up good. See how that works? Now I'm going to let the blue dry before I go in with the black, or charcoal, whatever we want to call that color. I see a few spots I'd like to fill in a little more. Okay, we're going to let that dry. Okay, we're ready to do the charcoal color now, so I'm going to place the doves back down on the paper, line them up. Kind of a small image, so it does take a little doing to get it on there and lined up good. I'm going to really work the black in because I don't want it to be too harsh. You can always add more, but it's hard to take away. And I will add some more. Just move your fingers around it, holding the image so that you can get around all of it. Okay, now I can take this away. And I want to go lighter as I go out, so I'm going to get rid of some of the color that's on my sponge. And there you have the sponge background. It was very, very simple. I'll let this dry before I go in and put the rest of the image in there, which is going to be the bird cage. I'm going to emboss that with silver. I do want to add a little shading to the doves, so I'm using number N89. Just going to hit the shadows. It's a very, very light gray. So I won't even really have to blend it. Go under the feathers, the bottom sides, to give it some definition. and around the body. Under the jaw. And then I'm going to use 912. It looks brown, but it's kind of a faded orange color. I'm going to use that on the beaks. Just to add a little touch of color. Okay, now I'm going to use my Versamark to stamp the bird cage. Make sure I get it covered good. And I want to center my dove image as best I can. And then I'm also going to do the vine bracket. Have to tip it to get it where I need it. Now I'm taking silver embossing powder and sprinkling it over the image. And then tap off the excess. Now you really want to make sure that your card, the sponging that you did, was dry before you do this, or you will have embossing powder all over your card. I have it in a few stray places, so I'm going to go off now. I'm going to take a paintbrush and knock off the excess real quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, now I have cleaned up the little stray pieces of silver embossing powder that were on the paper, and this is what I have. You take your heating tool and hit it until it changes to metallic and it smooths out. That's when you know you've done enough. And now it looks like that. The finishing touch on the image, I want to color in the leaves a little bit. I'm using number 192 for the light side of the leaves. Just takes a little touch. This one. And I'm using 158 for the dark side of the leaf. And there you have the finished image. I will turn it into a card and show you at the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you try this technique sometime soon. Have a good day and happy crafting!